They called you soft, chosen one, until they saw you stand in the fire and not flinch. But what they didn't realize is that softness does not mean weakness, it means restraint. It means knowing the depth of your power and choosing to wield it with wisdom, not wrath. How does someone so pure, so kind-hearted, an earth angel, become the most feared force in a room full of devils? The answer lies in what they can't understand, spiritual authority. When you are chosen by God, you carry something that cannot be seen by the naked eye, but is deeply felt by every dark spirit in the room. Your light is a mirror to their darkness. Your peace disrupts their chaos. Your mere presence convicts them, because it reveals everything they've tried to hide. And the moment you stop dimming your light to make others comfortable, everything changes. There once was a young woman in a small town, gentle, selfless, always putting others before herself. She prayed for her enemies, comforted the broken, and moved through life quietly. But as is often the case with the chosen, the world mistook her humility for fragility. They used her, mocked her, and pushed her to the edge. But the turning point came not when she fought back with bitterness, but when she fully embraced who she was. She stepped into her divine identity. She let God lead, and in doing so, she became untouchable. Her light didn't just shine, it scorched. The same people who once laughed at her began to avoid her. Their demons couldn't stand the heat of her spirit. That soft-spoken girl had become a firebrand. The world teaches that power is loud, aggressive, and dominating, but the kingdom of God flips that on its head. The Bible is filled with quiet, underestimated people, David, Esther, and Mary, who were anointed for greatness. Like them, you were never meant to blend in. You were meant to shift atmospheres. When you walk into a room, you carry the weight of divine presence. That's why people feel nervous around you without knowing why. It's not that you did anything wrong. It's that your purity disrupts their impurity. Your very existence threatens the kingdom of darkness because it proves that God still moves through his people. When they called you soft, they didn't see the spiritual warfare you were surviving in silence. They didn't know the angels camped around you. They didn't realize the power of someone who kneels before God every night, but now they do. And that terrifies them, because the moment a chosen one understands their authority, the enemy loses control. Demons don't fear your volume, they fear your obedience. They fear your connection to the source. They fear your resilience, your compassion, and your refusal to be hardened by pain. You are not just surviving, you are blazing. So remember this, being an earth angel isn't about floating on clouds. It's about walking through fire with God beside you and coming out without the smell of smoke. You didn't go through all that pain for nothing. You were forged for this moment. Now walk in it. The fire inside you was never meant to destroy you. It was meant to reveal you. Point one, they took your silence for submission. But God was training a warrior in disguise. Chosen ones, your silence was never weakness. It was divine strategy. Let's pull back the curtain and call it what it really was. While they were whispering, scheming, and slandering, you were sitting still in the secret place. Not hiding, listening, not retreating, receiving. They thought you were losing because you weren't loud, but they didn't know you were plugged into the source. Your quiet was not absence, it was access. You see, the world loves noise, it worships drama, it elevates the flashiest, the loudest, and the most chaotic. But the kingdom of God doesn't operate like the world. In the spirit realm, stillness is strength, prayer is power, obedience is warfare. While they were clapping back, you were bowing down. And that posture, it positioned you for a comeback they didn't see coming. They mocked you when you didn't retaliate, but now they're stunned that you're untouchable. The same mouths that gossip now stutter when they speak your name. Let's break this down psychologically and spiritually. Studies in neuroscience show that silence isn't passive, it literally activates growth. The brain uses silent moments to reorganize itself, consolidate learning, and regenerate brain cells in the hippocampus, the part of the brain responsible for memory and emotion. That's right. While you were doing nothing, your mind was rebuilding, your spirit was healing, God was rewiring you for something greater. There's a biblical principle at play here too. Be still and know that I am God, Psalm 46:10. That wasn't just poetic, it was a command. Stillness is the language of surrender. And in your stillness, you gave God room to move. That's why your enemies couldn't touch you. because while they were moving in flesh, you were protected by spirit. Your silence was sacred. It was your shield, your training ground, your proving ground. And now you've emerged, refined, recalibrated, radiant. You didn't force a glow-up, chosen one. You grew up. The storm didn't drown you. It baptized you. And now you walk with the kind of authority that only comes from surviving hell and coming out holy. That's what scares them. They ask, why are you glowing differently? Because you paid for that glow in tears, in isolation, and in prayers you thought God ignored, but He never did. Every moment you stayed silent instead of seeking revenge, you handed your battles over to God, and guess what? He's a better fighter than you'll ever be. Your silence was never surrender to your enemies, it was surrender from the battle. You knew it wasn't your job to prove yourself, just to prepare yourself. And now that your elevation has arrived, it's evident to everyone who once doubted you that you were never the underdog. You were just under divine construction. And here's the uncomfortable truth. Your success is their exposure. You walking in your power makes their lies unravel. Your peace is louder than their chaos. Your anointing cancels their manipulation. You being who you are, unapologetically, makes them confront everything fake about themselves. That's why they feel uncomfortable now. That's why they try to discredit you. Because your presence reminds them that they settled while you surrendered. You healed while they hid. You evolved while they escaped. And now they don't know what to do with the new you. Because you're not playing their game anymore. You don't argue, you ascend. You don't compete, you conquer. You don't react, you reign. So if you've ever felt guilty for staying silent, for choosing peace, for walking away instead of clapping back, release that guilt today. That wasn't weakness, that was wisdom, that was protection. That was the strategy of a chosen one, handcrafted by the Creator, trained in the shadows, released in the spotlight. And now the tables have turned. Your silence was golden, your patience was prophetic, and your comeback, it's God-written. Keep shining, chosen one. You are the storm they tried to silence, now fully formed, fully favored, and fully unstoppable. Point 2, you defy expectations. Chosen ones, here's the thing nobody dares to say aloud. Just existing in your truth is a rebellion, a divine disruption. And baby, when you step into the room fully lit in your purpose, you don't have to say a word. Your energy already exposed the ones faking it. It's not magic, it's frequency. You walk in grounded, confident, and unshakably calm. And the air shifts. People start shifting in their seats, over-explaining, gossiping, questioning you behind your back and asking, who does he think he is or she's changed? But the truth is, they're the ones who never changed. You just stopped dimming your light to make them comfortable in the dark. You see, chosen ones don't follow the script. Society writes one for everybody. Go to school, play nice, don't speak too loud, blend in, work a job you don't love, settle for relationships that drain you, and never, ever outgrow your surroundings. But you were born allergic to mediocrity. You came coded with rebellion in your DNA, not the chaotic kind, but divine rebellion, the kind that cracks generational chains, breaks karmic patterns, and says, nah, we're doing it differently this time. Let's break this down psychologically for a moment. When someone like you operates outside the group norm, it triggers what's known in behavioral science as cognitive dissonance. That's when people feel psychological discomfort because what they're seeing in you doesn't align with what they believe to be possible. Maybe they believe nobody from their neighborhood can be successful. Maybe they think healing from trauma is impossible. Maybe they told themselves confidence only comes with status or money. Then here you come, walking proof that you don't need permission to become powerful. Your existence becomes a contradiction to their excuses, and that burns them. But it's not personal, it's projection. They hate you because you moved past what they still fear. They gossip because you grew beyond what they cling to. The lies they've built their identity around, whether it's I'm not smart enough or nobody can escape this life, start to crumble the moment you show up free, focused, and fired up. And that's why, chosen one, the rumors get louder the more silent you become. The moment you stop explaining yourself, defending yourself, and apologizing for your glow, they scramble. It's like turning on the light in a room full of bugs. They scatter, not because you're aggressive, but because your clarity is. Here's what's wildly misunderstood. The moment you stop trying to fit in, you start shining in ways they never imagined. You're not here to maintain anyone's illusion. You're here to embody truth. And truth by nature is confrontational, not aggressive, but it confronts everything false just by existing. That's why you feel the tension when you walk into certain rooms, why the conversations change. Why do people suddenly get performative around you? Because your very being is a spiritual mirror, and they're terrified of what's staring back. Now let's get educational. There's a term in psychology called the Johari window. It maps out self-awareness. There are things we know about ourselves, things others know about us, and things hidden from both sides. Chosen ones? You operate mostly in that blind spot section for others, because you can see things in people they haven't dared to admit. Your aura reads energy like a scanner. You don't even need to try. You feel when someone's faking, and that unnerves them. So instead of growing, they attack. Instead of healing, they hate. But don't let that pull you down. That's confirmation. The more opposition you face from people who once loved you when you were small, the closer you are to walking in destiny. Remember, nobody throws stones at what isn't shining. They throw because they see it. You're being noticed, not because you're loud, but because you're real. And real is rare. So chosen one, keep walking, keep glowing, keep being unapologetically you, because every step you take in truth sends shockwaves through the lie factory. You're not arrogant, you're just aware. You're not intimidating, you're just deeply aligned. And when you live aligned, the world tries to yank you back into the mess it's still tangled in. Don't go back, don't shrink, don't make yourself relatable by pretending you're not brilliant. Chosen ones weren't made to fit in, they were made to wake others up. And that process, it's not always cute. It gets lonely, misunderstood, and even attacked, but it's worth it. Because every time you break a barrier, you show someone else it's possible. Every time you choose healing over hiding, you become a walking permission slip for another soul to rise. And you didn't even have to say a word, just your existence. Living loud, living healed, living free was enough to shake the system. That's your power, never forget it. Point 3, your kindness is your weapon. Here's the paradox the world never saw coming. Your kindness is more dangerous than anything a devil could conjure. Let that sink in. While others plot in darkness, thrive on confusion, and manipulate to maintain control, you, chosen one, walk through it all, radiating something they cannot touch, something that disarms them without a single word. That something is kindness, and not the performative, people-pleasing kind, not the smile through your pain kind, but the kind that is deeply rooted in soul, forged in trials and weaponized by truth. Your kindness isn't soft, it's seismic. People often mistake it for weakness. They think kindness means you don't know how to fight back, that you're naive or unaware. They assume you're just nice, like you're walking through life with blinders on, avoiding conflict, smiling like a saint. What they don't realize is that your kindness is deliberate, it's chosen. You've seen the darkness in people, you've stared it down, been burned by it, maybe even nearly swallowed by it, and yet you still chose light. That's not weakness, that's warfare, psychologically speaking. Kindness is often viewed as a moral strength linked to traits like compassion, empathy, and emotional intelligence. According to research in positive psychology, truly kind individuals have a higher degree of inner stability. They aren't controlled by the external noise. They have boundaries. They don't perform kindness, they embody it. And this is where your energy becomes unsettling to those with hidden agendas. You are kind, yes, but you are not controllable. Your spirit can't be manipulated. Your forgiveness doesn't mean forgetfulness. You move with grace, but you don't move blindly. That alone disrupts everything a toxic person stands on. The science backs this up too. Studies on altruism and human behavior show that authentic kindness releases oxytocin, a hormone known as the love hormone, which not only strengthens trust and bonds, but also reduces stress. But when a chosen one shares this energy, it's like a spiritual amplifier. You don't just calm rooms, you cleanse them. Your presence detoxes the environment. That's why the snakes start slithering when you walk in. You didn't say a word, you didn't lift a finger, but your light exposed their venom, and they hate it. Here's the real kicker. You didn't become kind because life was easy. No, your kindness was carved out of heartbreak, betrayal, and battles that should have broken you. That's what makes it terrifying, because people can't weaponize what they don't understand. You're not kind to gain favor. You're not kind because you need attention. You're kind because it's who you chose to be. even when you had every reason not to be. That kind of kindness is holy, and holiness terrifies the unhealed. See, chosen. Ones don't react like the world expects. Where others explode, you pause. Where they curse, you pray. Where they attack, you observe. You respond from a higher frequency, and that makes you unreadable, untouchable. You know when to speak and when to go silent. You know when to love and when to walk away. People don't know how to fight someone who doesn't fight dirty, and they sure as hell don't know how to break someone who's already been to hell and came back glowing. So no, your kindness isn't soft, it's sacred, it's strategic. It's your secret weapon. Because while they're playing checkers with emotions and ego, you're playing chess with eternity. You know who you are. You're not flattered by flattery, you're not shaken by shade. You're grounded in something deeper than appearance, status, or approval. And that's what makes your kindness dangerous. It's powered by purpose. You are the walking proof that light wins, that purity isn't weak, that love, when unshakable, is the most rebellious force on earth. The world doesn't know how to deal with that. And that's why, despite all their efforts to slander, sabotage, and silence you, you remain. Glowing, giving, growing, still kind, still powerful, still chosen. And that's the kind of danger darkness can never prepare for. Point 4, the world can't control you. Absolutely chosen one. Let's break this down like divine fire lighting up the shadows. Chosen ones, the world is obsessed with control. Control of systems, control of narratives, control of you. Society has an almost compulsive need to define you, box you in, slap on labels, and file you under some man-made category that feels safe to them, not to protect you, but to make them comfortable. Because of your energy, it's disruptive. Not chaotic, but uncontainable. You're born with a divine voltage that makes static systems tremble. And here's what most people don't understand. They don't hate you, they fear you. Why? Because you live outside of their rule book. You're the glitch in the matrix, the wildflower in a concrete jungle, the truth in a world built on curated lies. When the chosen one walks in a room, the atmosphere changes. That's not just poetic, it's physics. Let's get factual. The human brain is wired for pattern recognition. It craves predictability. It wants to classify you. It needs to predict your behavior so it can feel safe. This is deeply rooted in the amygdala, the brain's fear center. When someone can't figure you out, their brain interprets you as a threat. Not because you are harmful, but because you're unpredictable. And when you don't conform, when you don't explain yourself, when you don't shrink to fit the status quo, that's terrifying to those who are addicted to control. You see, people who haven't done their inner work are triggered by those who have. That's why the moment you stop living for validation and start living in alignment, the attacks begin. The whispers, the backhanded compliments, the subtle sabotage, it all gets louder. And it's not because you've done anything wrong, it's because your existence exposes their compromises. Your peace reveals their chaos. Your light, it blinds their lies. When you stop letting others dictate your path, when you start making moves that don't make sense to the system, people will try to pull you back. Not because they want to help, but because your escaping the cage reminds them they're still in it. They call you rebellious, arrogant, too much. But that's just code for uncontrollable, and the world fears what it can't control. But here's the truth. You were never meant to be controlled. You were sent here, not just born. That's the difference between the chosen and the comfortable. Your steps were ordered. Your timing is divine. Your resistance to conformity isn't a flaw, it's a spiritual signature. A mark that says, this one doesn't answer to man. You answer to something higher, the Most High, the Source, God. This is why their systems will never fully hold you. No job title, degree, clique, algorithm, or institution can truly define you. That's why they try to shame you, discredit you, and label you as crazy or too intense. Because you don't speak their language, you speak truth. And truth, it's not always polite, it's not always neat, but it is always undeniable. Now let's talk purpose. You're not here to win popularity contests. You're not here to make everyone feel cozy and affirmed in their mediocrity. You're here to disrupt, to awaken, to activate. And that calling, it isolates you, yes. But it also protects you. The people who walk away when you stop performing, that's divine filtration. Every rejection, a redirection, every closed door, God's security system. And this is why you remain untouched. Because you don't need worldly approval when you walk in divine favor. You don't need validation when you carry vision. You don't crumble under pressure. You get clearer, stronger, sharper. So next time they try to limit you, laugh, smile. Remember, they're only trying to cage what they can't comprehend. And what they can't comprehend, they can't conquer. You are not meant to be understood by everyone, chosen one. You are meant to be felt, moved by, watched from afar with awe. You are the reminder that some fires don't burn out, they burn through. You are untouchable because no earthly force can override your divine mission. Walk boldly in that. Point 5. You were born to challenge the system. Here's the raw, unsettling truth most people will never admit out loud. You weren't born to blend in. You were born to break patterns. You, chosen one, weren't sent here to follow the blueprint. You are the blueprint. Your soul didn't sign up for this human experience just to color inside the lines and tiptoe around societal expectations. No, you're here to shake things up, to challenge systems that have gone unchecked, to walk into rooms and make the air shift. That's why your presence confuses people. They don't know whether to fear you, follow you, or fight you. You disrupt the status quo, and the status quo does not go quietly. Your energy carries something ancient, something that awakens people, sometimes without a word. Just your existence, your refusal to shrink, your audacity to dream, your inner clarity makes others question their own programming. You don't need to be loud to be powerful. In fact, it's your calm resistance, your quiet knowing that unnerves people the most. In a world addicted to noise and validation, your silence speaks volumes. Your solitude isn't weakness, it's strategy. And that kind of self-possession that terrifies people who are still outsourcing their worth. From a psychological standpoint, you're what researchers call a nonconformist personality type. In group dynamics, people like you naturally resist social pressure. You're less influenced by groupthink, which is the tendency for people to suppress dissenting opinions in order to maintain harmony. But you'll ask the uncomfortable question. You'll call out the elephant in the room. You'll point north when everyone else is going south. Not to be different, but because your inner compass demands it. And this level of autonomy often makes others feel exposed. Not because you're attacking them, but because you represent what they wish they could be, free. That's why reactions to you are so extreme. Some people will be magnetized by you. They'll find you fascinating, empowering, and magnetic. Others will try to mock you, isolate you, or tear you down, and they won't even know why. That's the cost of standing in your authenticity. You become a mirror. And not everyone is ready to look, because the moment they look at you, they have to look at themselves. And let's be honest, most people have spent their whole lives avoiding that reflection. Here's where the spiritual side kicks in. As a chosen one, you operate on a different frequency, literally. Studies in neuroscience show that our brains emit electromagnetic frequencies depending on our thoughts and emotions. High vibrational people, those who operate from love, clarity, and purpose, radiate energy that can be felt even before a word is spoken. That's why people feel something when you enter a room. They sense the difference, and energy doesn't lie, even if people do. So while others are busy performing, you're out here transforming. While they gossip in circles, you're moving in spirals, upward, inward, forward. And when they finally realize you weren't trying to outshine them, but simply trying to shine, it'll be too late. Because by then you'll be out of reach, ascending, evolving, and choosing peace over people-pleasing. You see, the more you align with your purpose, the more the matrix starts to glitch around you. People don't know what to do with someone who doesn't seek permission. Systems don't know how to control someone who can't be bought. And the world? It doesn't quite know how to handle someone who refuses to be ordinary. But don't let that shake you. Let it fuel you. Because the very thing that makes you misunderstood is the same thing that makes you powerful. You're not here to fit in. You're here to stand out, speak truth, and shift the collective. They'll talk, let them. They'll question you, let them. Because while they're watching, whispering, and wondering, you'll be walking in purpose, answering to a higher calling and rising like the storm they never saw coming. Chosen one, you weren't made for the comfort zone. You were made for impact. Point 6, your energy can't be matched. Chosen ones, listen up. Your energy is not just different, it's divine. Whether you fully realized it or not, you radiate a frequency that others can sense the moment you walk into a room. It's not just charisma, it's not just charm, it's not even confidence in the way the world defines it. No, your energy is rooted in source, in truth, in the quiet, knowing that you are set apart. And when something is set apart, it can't be copied, no matter how many try. People feel it. They might not be able to articulate it, but they sense it. Your presence disrupts the usual energy flow. It stirs their unhealed wounds, triggers their insecurities, and more than anything, it exposes their pretend personas. See, most people are so used to wearing masks that they forgot what real looks like. And then here you come, authentic, grounded, unbothered. You walk in and say more with your silence than they do with their entire performance. That's unsettling to those who survive off validation, to those whose identities are built on image, the presence of someone who doesn't need to be seen to be known. It shakes them. There's actually science behind this. The human body emits an electromagnetic field. Your heart alone produces a field that extends several feet beyond your physical body. But when your spirit is aligned with divine truth, that field becomes even stronger. According to the HeartMath Institute, coherent heart energy, which is associated with emotions like love, peace, and authenticity, can create a calming effect on others. So when you walk into a room calm, confident, and centered, people feel that wave of clarity, even if they can't explain why they suddenly feel off around you. That's not their soul rejecting you, that's their ego feeling threatened. Here's the kicker. People will try to replicate your energy. They'll imitate your speech, mimic your style, and even parrot your wisdom. But imitation is exhausting when it's not coming from alignment. That's why they burn out. They're trying to perform what you live naturally. They're trying to compete with something they don't understand. And when people don't understand something, they fear it. And when they fear it, they attack it. That's why you've been lied about, misunderstood, talked about behind your back, not because you did anything, but because your very existence makes it harder for others to pretend. You see, chosen ones don't need to shout. Your energy speaks for itself. You don't have to flash money, drop names, or announce your wins. There's a peace you carry, a quiet, potent force that makes people wonder, who is this really? And that mystery, that's your power. That's why they gossip. That's why they mock what they secretly admire, because when truth enters, lies scramble. Darkness can't hold its shape in the presence of light. Your light doesn't expose them with words. It reveals their shadow simply by existing. Think about it. The reason they're trying so hard to compete is because something in them already knows they can't compare. And while they run in circles seeking applause, you're centered, walking your path with grace and resilience. That doesn't mean life's been easy for you, far from it. But through every storm, you stayed rooted. And that root, that's what makes your energy unshakable. So don't shrink to make others comfortable. Don't dull your light to help them hide their flaws. Keep walking into rooms with your truth intact. Because every time you show up in alignment with your purpose, the atmosphere shifts. Not everyone will understand it. Not everyone will celebrate it. But the real ones, the awakened ones, they'll recognize it. And to the ones who try to steal your essence, let them keep trying. Because while they're out there chasing shadows, you, chosen one, you're busy being the light. Point 7, the demons are terrified of you. Let's talk about the real power you carry, not the kind that comes from wealth, fame, or influence, but the kind forged in the fire of adversity. You've faced storms that would have left others in ruins. You've endured silent battles, wrestled with unseen forces, and cried in places no one saw. And yet here you stand, stronger, wiser, and spiritually awakened. This isn't just survival, this is transformation. You've evolved through trials that were never meant to destroy you, but to reveal you. And now, you carry the kind of spiritual power that makes demons tremble. That's not hyperbole, it's spiritual reality. Ephesians 6:12 tells us that our struggle is not against flesh and blood, but against spiritual forces of evil. And when you come out of the fire with your faith intact, that alone makes you a living threat to darkness. Demons don't fear casual believers, they fear warriors. And make no mistake, you are a warrior. You've been tested by betrayal, heartbreak, isolation, and spiritual warfare. But instead of breaking, you were built. Your scars are sacred. They're proof you've been in the battle and made it out alive. And with each battle you overcame, your spiritual armor grew stronger. You are surrounded by divine protection, not just metaphorically, but spiritually. Psalm 91 says that angels have been commanded to guard you in all your ways. That's not poetic fluff, it's divine strategy. The enemy has studied you, he knows what you carry, and he fears what will happen if you ever fully embrace your identity as a chosen one. That's why the attacks were so intense, because your presence disrupts demonic assignments. You're not just protected, you're anointed, and anointing breaks yokes. When you walk in your God-given purpose, even hell has to retreat. No weapon formed against you shall prosper, because you were never meant to be defeated. You were meant to overcome, to illuminate, and to inspire. The very presence of God flows through you, and that intimidates anyone who operates in darkness. Your power isn't loud or flashy. It's quiet, firm, and immovable, like a mountain, like a lion walking through a storm without flinching. So remember this. You're not just some person trying to get by. You're divinely appointed, spiritually armored, and incredibly dangerous to the kingdom of darkness. The reason you've been attacked so much is because of how powerful you are. But attacks are just confirmation. You are exactly who God says you are. You don't need validation from people. Heaven already endorsed you. Your existence alone is a weapon. Walk in that, live in that, own that. Because when a chosen one walks in their true power, even devils have no choice but to step aside. Stay blessed, chosen one. Keep shining, keep fighting, keep walking in divine purpose. You are untouchable.